Okay, so it's gonna take a. So there's people joining in slowly.
All right. Well, welcome, guys. We'll give you a few minutes for everybody to get on. Just excited to be part of this tonight with Pierre from Platinum and Dr. Amanda from Discover Chiropractic down in Atlanta. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Dr. Eric Kowalski, and I have a practice in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And we've been using Platinum, obviously, since we opened our office about 7 years ago. And we came right out of school. To give you a brief background of myself, I used to be a mechanical engineer before I became a chiropractor, and I love to do things just efficiently and better. I'm always looking for a better way, and I'm also one of the leaders in the AMP program. So we built a ton of content to help chiropractors open and be successful. And we were just chatting a minute ago with Pierre, and he stated some new research he was reading that over 30% of chiropractors within 5 years aren't even practicing chiropractic anymore. And it's a passion of ours just to help chiropractors be successful and help see more people, because we know the impact that we can make on the community and the lives that we can change and the people that we can help if we just knew how to properly educate them and inform them. And our procedures were lined up in our office where we could be compliant and we could do everything we need to do legally, but at the end of the day, we can just provide an excellent, extraordinary experience and help a lot of people. So our goal on this tonight is to just share that with you and go through some bullet points on different things that we found to help us become more efficient in our office and tools that we use. And I've learned a lot of this from the Hesses down in Atlanta, Discover Chiropractic, and uh, they've been founders of the AMP program since it started and have just been able to lead and mentor a lot of chiropractors, including myself, on how to see a lot of people. And I remember when I was in school, their office was 1,200 to 1,500 people a week, and so to be able to see that run efficiently was really awesome. And we've taken um, a lot of their systems and procedures and just refined those and grew on those, and we're constantly working back and forth to develop better systems and better ways to do things to reach more people. So we're excited to be on. Dr. Amanda, anything else you want to add about your guys' office?
I think you described everything well. I mean, my passion in life is to do things the right way. And so that is where Platinum System comes into my life on a daily basis, because it helps us run our office efficiently and have good systems in place for checks and balances as well. And so we had many young people come through our office over the past 10 years through internships at various chiropractic schools. And Dr. Kowalski was one of those young people years ago to visit our office and learn things from us. And we are excited to see him and so many others just thrive in the profession of chiropractic and be able to be the leader in their community.
Okay, so this is Pierre McMahon from Platinum. I'll let the floor to the AMP people because that's really they're there to discuss about you. They can help you with your business and grow your business. I know it's very important. So you have the floor.
Yeah, so we're going to go through 5 different points for you guys, and you have the ability, if you've never used GoToWebinar before, you have the ability to ask questions on here. So as we go through this, if you have questions, try to ask them early on, and then when we get towards the end, we'll be able to go through those and answer those for you. We want to keep this not insanely long for you guys, so we're going to try to cut it off at 7:30 if we make it that far, based on all your questions. So take lots of notes and ask questions. I think there's even a raise your hand feature, but I don't really know if I'm going to use that or not. So if you want to raise your hand, go for it. But I'm going to let Dr. Amanda lead this first one. So we're going to go through top 5 office procedures to increase patient experience. So the first one is how amped systems utilize Platinum to save time, and how we've been able to make that really efficient and use Platinum as an electronic means to just work smarter and not harder. So Dr. Amanda, you want to start to go through that point?
Sure. So when a new patient comes in, typically they hopefully have their paperwork filled out ahead of time, or they could have even filled it out online. And Platinum has a way for them to do that and for it to come into your system automatically as well. And so that saves time there. On the electronic health record side, when someone is in active care, there are already subjective notes already in there, which is going to ask the person a question in regards to what their functional losses are. And so the person during their active phase of care just swipes their practice member card or uses their phone with their barcode, and their file pulls up, they answer the questions quickly, and then they get on the table. And you already have your team trained to tell them how you want them on your table for your specific technique. So in our office, many people start on the table face down in the prone position. And that way we know when we walk by that room and the person is face down, then they're ready for their adjustment. They've already done the subjective portion, and we're not going to have to wait around for them. And so it helps to speed up the flow there. What the other thing I also love is once somebody is discharged out of active care into wellness care, is the note is just so simple that even at 1,200 to 1,500 practice member visits per week, it literally takes like boom, 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 boom to do the wellness care note in your office efficiently. And so it's not some long drawn out procedure there. The other thing I like is it's real easy to customize your notes as well through the electronic health record system. Also, if there's a special situation going on, you can make a special note in someone's note very quickly. You can just type that in as well. If you also have associates or other doctors in your office, the software is super easy to use multiple doctors on the schedule. So you can have professional number 1, professional number 2, professional number 3. They could actually all have different schedules as well. And if somebody specifically prefers a certain doctor, you can know that as well as you could color code that person to that provider, to that doctor as well. And so that doctor would know when they see that person in a room on the list, they would know that's their person and they need to go in to see them. The other thing I really like which makes things so much easy on a daily basis, especially when you're doing a team huddle, and with the AMP systems and procedures and with training your team, because it's super easy to go and do outreach in the community. It's super easy for you to communicate chiropractic. And I think one of the things that people don't realize is how difficult it is to have a great team to support you. And a lot of people struggle with this. They have constant turnover. The thing with team members is they have to know what their job description is. They have to know what they're doing. They have to have checklist after checklist after checklist. They have to know this is what happens when I walk in at 8 a.m. I got to turn on the computers. I got to unlock the door. I got to set the thermostat to 72, because if I don't, then Dr. Hess is going to remotely change it again. And so literally on our checklist, we have exactly where we want our thermostats at, and it changes. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's coming on summertime now, and it changes on what we want our thermostat on right now during the summer versus what we want it on during the winter. And so you have to have checklists for your team members. So if you're having some problems with constant turnover within team members, I definitely recommend you reach out to us in the AMPed community on how to train a team properly, how to hire a team properly, and we're going to show you some of the modules later on that go over that. But within the team, one of the things that we do every single morning before we open is called a pre-shift team huddle. And if you're in a growth phase in your practice, you'll probably find that you need to do a pre-shift team huddle, a midday team huddle, and an end of the day team huddle. And different things happen at each one. I'm not going to go over all of that today, but during the pre-shift team huddle, Dr. Kowalki, if you'll pull up just the front desk screen so that people can see what's going on within the Platinum software and how we utilize that so that everybody knows how the flow is going to happen for that day. So within the Platinum software, you can see on Dr. Kowalki's screen here, there's all these different colors, and all these colors are set up so that people know who is a new practice member that day, who is coming in that day. That's a report of findings. Maybe this is in our office, for example, today was Wednesday. So Wednesday at 1 p.m., we had our doctor's report, which is where all of our new practice members come into a group setting. We go over chiropractic from A to Z. Then we do a report of findings with them, start their care plan. So we would have multiple people color-coded in our office in green for that, because that's our doctor's report color. In our office, a report of findings is orange. Also in our office, the new practice member, they would be blue for that day. If we're taking X-rays, let's say somebody came in yesterday and they weren't prepared to pay for the X-ray and they just rescheduled for today, then they would be scheduled for an X-ray appointment, which in our office would be purple, and it would be designated as an X. So there's all these different ways that you can customize the software for your practice needs, for example. And it's always transitioning. It can be changing. For example, probably about 5 years ago, we started adding a Spanish doctor's report, which we do every Thursday night now at 6:45. And our Spanish associate and our Spanish-speaking chiropractic assistant, they're the ones that lead that doctor's report. And so we had to add that into this, and now a Spanish doctor's report happens on Thursday nights at 6:45, and it's color-coded in light pink, because that's just the color we chose at the time for that. So you can customize it. Is there anything else that you want to add to that, Dr. Kowalski, on how you can customize that, just to also help with the team? Because I think, again, a lot of people don't understand that the team is so essential, but as we all know, teams can be probably the most difficult thing to deal with on a daily basis as well, even though we love them.
I think it's really important. She mentioned the huddles. Huddles are important so that we go through all of these appointments and we're identifying who's doing every single special appointment, who's in charge of every new patient evaluation, every reevaluation, every financial that has to go over. So when we start the shift and we open the door, we already know every special appointment that's on our schedule, who's handling it, who's taking care of it, so they can be prepared ahead of time. I think that's really, really important. It helps our office flow a lot more efficiently. The other thing that we've utilized is in Platinum, when you're using the calling module, we'll go over that a little bit too, but you can specify what appointments you want going to which rooms. So if based on your office flow, if you only want the doctor to review certain things, like a special appointment, I don't know what it is. Like in our office, if I had to give an example, we have J's for Dr. John, M's for Dr. Mark, and E's for Dr. Eric, for people that only like to get adjusted by a specific doctor. So E's only get called to room 3 and 4, J's only get called to room 2 and 3, and M's only get called to room 1 and 2. So it helps manage our flow. So if there's a whole bunch of E's, all 4 rooms don't get full of E's, and then the other docs have nowhere to go to adjust. So it just helps manage our flow that way. And you can use those for, like in our office, a D is an appointment where we have to go over a care plan with somebody, like day 2 potentially. Maybe we went over their finances and they need to take home and think about it, and they're coming back for a D, or they have updated insurance or something maybe the doc needs to go over. Well, we don't want D's to happen in rooms 1 or 2, so maybe we only let D's get called to 3 or 4. So those are just examples that you can use to manage that flow of your office electronically and take some pressure off of your team, like always having to manage who's going to which room, as it does it automatically for you. Since you mentioned the team training stuff, I wanted to show this really quick because we utilize this a lot. This is the team modules that we have within the AMP virtual classroom, and Team Huddle specifically is a whole module on itself, like how to manage that, how to flow through that, what the itinerary should be, the point of it. So inside each one of those modules, specifically like Team Huddle, it breaks down all of the structure, schedules, why it's important, things you should be saying, and scenarios that you should be going over. What's different about a pre-shift huddle versus an end-of-night huddle versus a middle-of-the-day huddle? How does that affect the flow of the practice? Bonus videos of offices actually doing huddles, downloadable tools, and then we did a whole webinar or hangout on that where people got to ask live questions, and all of that's recorded in there. So I think all of that stuff together gives you a really well-rounded approach on, how does an office do that that's been doing it for 15 years, and how can I avoid all of the mistakes that come in trying to figure that out and just go right to what we know works.
And I think I see that from, or I hear that from people all the time, Dr. Kowalski, and that they're in school, they've come out of school, they want to open a clinic, or even they're an associate somewhere and they say, well, I've never actually seen a team huddle, or I've never actually been a participant in a full team meeting, and I've never even seen that done. And so we've actually videoed all this so you can have examples of this is how it should be done. This is what the flow should look like. This is kind of the interactions that should be happening. Because once you see it, then you'll definitely be able to then implement that into your office. And it's all about implementation to see you grow.
Totally. So that was number one, how to utilize Platinum to save time. And we went through a bunch of scenarios there. Number two is utilizing Platinum with other technologies. So how do we utilize third-party softwares and third-party hardwares and integrate that into patients' EHR systems and our electronic notes so we can keep track of everything. And so if I give you some examples for Xrays, there is some X-ray companies that sync directly with Platinum. For us, we use 20/20 imaging, and when we pull up an X-ray, we just screen share that, and it's really easy to load into our imaging. If I give you an example of this, this is like an example practice member file. This is my own, actually, and I just put a bunch of stuff in here so you guys can see it. If you go under imaging, you can put in all these different images and X-rays and upload these based on image number, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And I just screen share it, and you go add, screen capture, and it automatically puts it in there really easy for you. And we set image 1 always as like their first nerve assessment. Image 2 might be their SEMG, so nerve assessment. I'm talking about thermography. We use Insight subluxation station, but Titron, anything like that, is always image 1. The thermal, the surface electromyography, muscle eval is image 2. Image 3 is usually a lateral cervical. Image 4 is usually whatever other X-ray that we use that is showing a significant change or specific to their symptomatology. And then when they have reevaluations, image 4 now becomes the new picture of whatever we took a re-X-ray on. So if it was a pelvis, image 3 would be the new first pelvis, image 4 would be the new pelvis. And so that would allow us to see this really easily. And if I wanted to show like an example of them side by side, I could pull that up by hitting one of these buttons in the top right, F2. F3 pulls up both X-rays side by side. But this allows me to see it really quickly if I'm going through an adjusting room and somebody has a question about something, or maybe I haven't adjusted them in a while because another doc was adjusting them. I can quickly look at their X-rays and see, you know, what's going on, or just by knowing the process that we put these in there, I can tell kind of where they're at in the process of care as well. So that helps a lot with putting X-rays in there and managing that. I was
going to say also, I was going to say also that it helps a lot when people have questions, or when they're on the verge of discontinuing care and you're just saying, hey, this is your X-ray here. And do you remember when we talked about the fact that this disc space has been degenerating, this has been going on for years, this just didn't happen yesterday, it's going to take more than 2 weeks of care, Mr. Jones, for this to get better. And so these are all the type of scenarios that we also talk about on the AMP virtual classroom via table talk, also via, hey, you're just trying to save somebody from discontinuing care. And whether that save is they're going to continue on their recommendations, or the save is, hey, I understand maybe you can't come twice a week. Let's at least have you come once a week, because some chiropractic care is better than no chiropractic care. You know, and obviously, Mrs. Jones, if we don't do anything, what's going to happen here? Is this going to get better? Is it going to stay the same, or is it going to get worse? And obviously, she's going to say it's going to get worse.
Yeah, totally. It's just having it there and easily accessible allows you to use it anytime. And even team members can, you know, they can pull people into an exam room and pull up their X-rays super quick and allow them to see that. So that's awesome. Another technology that has totally changed the game is using a third-party payment software like Fortis. We use Fortis. I remember we used to go on Thanksgiving vacations, and it always is we're on break and it's the 20th of the month, which is when we run payments on the 5th and 20th. So in our office, we do corrective care plans. They can choose if they want to pay on the 5th or the 20th automatically every month. And so there's hundreds of payments that run every 20th. So I'm in Mexico on the beach, and I got to run inside to hope the internet works at this resort and like log in and run my payments manually. I mean, it's just like, I can't believe I'm doing. What if the server goes down, or I can't remote in or something, and none of your payments are on? I mean, it's super stressful. And we did that for. I mean, you guys did that for years. We did it for a long time too, and we didn't know any different. And then Fortis came along with the integration, and now you don't have to worry about it. It just automatically runs your payments on the 5th and 20th, and you can set them up to automatically run on multiple different scenarios. So we always work people in financial stuff. Like, very rarely are we very hard and rigid. Like, we'll figure something out. If you want to run your payment half on the 5th, half on the 20th, if you want to add a couple months to your payment or pay more up front and then make your other monthly payments last. I mean, there's so many scenarios that before we were hesitant to do, just because we're like, how do we track this and monitor it and make sure that we're not missing something? And so we tried to just stick within 2 scenarios. Well, now with Fortis, you can pretty much come up with any scenario you can think of and input it into the software, and it just works. And you can trust that if you say that the payment's coming out, it's actually going to work. Any feedback on that?
I was just going to say that the integration with the credit card processor and Platinum changed my life. And the one thing that really just, I was like, okay, this is it, I'm switching, was when I was told, okay, somebody comes to me, and you always have these people, and the 20th falls on a Wednesday, and they get paid on Friday, the 22nd. And they're like, hey, I need to delay my payment. I'm going to be able to pay it. I can't pay it on the 22nd. Well, it was a very arduous process to do that before, and that you had to like suspend the account and then reactivate it and then schedule it for the 22nd and do it all manually. Now it's really simply a click of 1 or 2 buttons within the Fortis credit card processor to handle situations like that. And so when I heard that, and then when I was told, hey, this is just going to run in the morning when it's scheduled to run and you don't have to do anything, I mean, it was such a time saver. And the other thing from a business owner perspective is it saved so much time on payroll as well, because my team members had everything already preset, and there was just less of this changing or modifications because the integration and the software was just so user friendly.
Yeah, totally. And you probably gain like 2 years of your life now that you don't have to worry about that twice a month. That's really what started. I think when I learned about that, and I learned that Fortis fixed that problem for us, we were brainstorming in our office. We had a problem where I have a voicemail. My voicemail like machine is right by my desk, and I would see voicemails going off in the middle of the day. And I was like, why are we not answering the phone? And for the first couple of weeks, I was like, we need to answer the phone. Like, everybody answer the phone in the middle of the day. And I would still get voicemails. I'm like, I literally just talk how we get voicemails. And they're like, if all 3 lines are busy, it just goes to voicemail. And I was like, well, that's not my team's fault. Like, how do I fix that? I mean, getting 4 or 5 phone lines isn't the answer. I'm going to hire more people to answer the phone. And since Fortis automated that process, I was like, well, how awesome would it be if patients could just reschedule their appointments through an app on their phone and not call us? And that would save us so much time. And since we started using Sked to automate that process, I mean, I couldn't imagine going back. I mean, if I just show you guys this screen share, this is our admin console for our Sked appointments just in May. This is looking at, we've had 929 appointments scheduled in the app just in May. 929 scheduled, and 761, it's not even the end of the month yet, rescheduled. If it just takes you 2 minutes for your team to make an appointment change, which normally it takes like 5, that's like almost 2,000 minutes plus 1,400. You're looking at like 3,500 or 4,000 minutes of time saved for your office in 1 month, just scheduling and rescheduling. And you know what's really interesting about this, what we found looking at the stats after people start scheduling, most of them have scheduled on Sunday nights. So the majority of them is scheduled on Sunday nights, and that's a time when how else would they be able to get a hold of you? So unless you're remoting phone calls into team members on Sunday night, which probably you're not. And if you are, they don't stick around with you for very long because they hate that job. It's just not very efficient. So when we look at third-party softwares and how do you improve the efficiency, Fortis has been a game changer for us. Get has been a game changer for us. We also have been able to automate our appointment reminders. So the other thing our team hated doing was calling people and reminding them of appointments. I mean, it was like one person's job to be on the phone all day long, calling every single appointment. Hey, just a reminder. And now, and 95% of those people never answer the phone. And so then you're leaving voicemails, and they're like, quit leaving me voicemails. So then you're marking their file, don't call this guy anymore, you know? And so I'm like, if we could automate that process and pay a software to do that for us, because 95% of people don't answer their phone nowadays. And of that stat, I think 96% see a text message within 90 seconds or 60 to 90 seconds of receiving it. So voicemail, you don't even know if they're going to get it. At least you know with a text message, they got it. If they don't respond or do anything or take action on that and come in or whatever, at least they got the message. And so with Sched, we've been able to automate who gets appointment reminders based on appointment codes. So it's a different message for reevals. It's a different message for orientations or doctor's report. It's a different message for going over X-rays. You can have it say whatever you want to say. And once you set it up once, you don't have to worry about it. It goes out an hour before, 24 hours before, a week before, whatever you want, automatically every single time. All you got to do is make sure they're scheduled in Platinum with whatever appointment code you want, and it works automatically. And that has been another total game changer for us as third-party software organization-wise.
The thing I really like about it, you know, when you customize this stuff, especially when you are in a growth phase of your practice, or you just had a big event and you've got a lot of new practice members on the schedule, let's say for Monday, and so they're going to get that confirmation text message through the Sched app, and you can customize it to say, you know, just a reminder of your appointment time tomorrow at 3 p.m. for your consultation. Please confirm, you know, or reply confirm, you know, and so these people can reply via text message, confirmed, or I'm coming, and you can see that through the portal. And so it really cuts down also just on the time of your team members having to phone these people as well.
What about missed appointments? Oh my God.
Well, in Atlanta, you know, somebody could have a 5:30 appointment, but they could get stuck on I-75 behind a tractor trailer, and you know they're just running late. And so we have it automatically set to send out the missed appointment text message 15 minutes after their appointment. And so once they get that text message, a lot of people will just say, I'm still coming, I'm just stuck in traffic, or they'll actually use their app and reschedule it for a later time. And so it really cuts down on just the number of calls that you're making for people as well, because they get that automatic messaging through the Sched app of, hey, we missed you, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Nobody likes making missed appointment phone calls. Automating that process was like a life-changing experience for sure. All right, number 3, making it easy for people to be able to come in and out of your office in large numbers. So Dr. Amanda, why don't you run through this, some main things that you guys use for your office to make it easy for people?
So when I talk to different software companies, I'm always surprised when somebody says that they still don't have a calling module. I mean, this is 2018, and it's like Platinum was a total game changer for me with this calling module. And so whether you've got 50 people on the schedule or 300 people on the schedule for a day, you know, when somebody checks in at the arrival station, their name just gets put into the queue of arrival. Now, if they have a special coded appointment, like we talked about earlier, let's say they've got a report of findings, or they've got a financial consultation or an X-ray appointment that's been specially coded, so it's actually going to lock that person from being called back to the adjustment room until the front desk takes care of that special coded appointment. And so if someone is just coming in for their regular adjustment, they check in at their arrival station, and then the arrival station just starts calling out names. Amanda Hess, please proceed to room 1. Eric Kowalski, please proceed to room 2. And so for me, that was just like, you mean I don't have to pay somebody to make sure that the people, when they came in order, that they're called back appropriately. Because I mean, I remember the days back before there was even electronic health records. Dr. Kowalski probably doesn't remember those days because he's younger than me. But you know, you had to like pay somebody to know who came in what order, just to make sure. Because if you were out of order, people would get mad. They'd be like, oh, I checked in before that person or whatever. So the arrival station in the calling module was a game changer for me, because it just automatically calls people back, and it just saves on payroll as well from having to pay somebody to number one, arrive somebody, because there's still softwares out there where you have to have someone manually arrive this person, which doesn't make sense to me. And then also just cut back on the payroll of having someone call these people's names out. I mean, I like to pay people to actually interact with people, teach them about chiropractic, do chiropractic analogies, handle objections, handle concerns, handle wins, you know, and people doing better with their health. I mean, I definitely don't want to be paying somebody all day, every day to call people back to a room. The other thing that I really enjoy is when someone does come to the arrival station, you can set up different promotional events to like pop up on the screen. So if you're having a patient appreciation dinner, or you're doing a dinner with a doctor, or maybe you're going to have a Father's Day barbecue fest on a Saturday coming up, you know, you can put that on the front screen so it'll pop up so people can see that as well. Also, what we like to do is we have within our software system the happy birthday song. So even today, I was up near the front desk assisting, and this lady swiped her card, and as soon as she checked in at the arrival station, it goes, no, I'm not a singer on this, but it goes, happy birthday, we're so glad you came, happy birthday from Discover Team, hey. And so people love it, and they just smile, and they are just like, it's totally unexpected most of the time because they haven't heard it before. And so that's just a lot of fun too, that you can customize the software to whatever you want to do. The other thing that makes it easy for people, you know, I think Dr. Kowalski already went over with they can change their appointments. You know, if they need to cancel their appointment, they can cancel the appointment. Now, you can block them as well within the scheduling app from canceling certain appointments. So, for example, in our office, if somebody is scheduled for a doctor's report or for a progress report of findings, they cannot remotely on their phone cancel that appointment. So they're going to have to actually call the office, because one of the reasons is it's not a normal adjustment. There's the doctor's reports going on, or their progress report of findings, where we're going to go over their progress over the last year. And so there's only certain times a day that we do that. And so that's why we don't allow that. Whereas an adjustment, hey, if somebody is scheduled at 11:30, but something happened that morning, they want to come in at 3:30, that's fine. It's just an adjustment, and they can remotely change that appointment as well. The other thing I love is just how easy it is, especially if you are in a family referral-based practice, you're presenting long-term care plans, you're presenting lifetime care to people, is just the ease of using the software to build a care plan, using your payment processor, for example, Fortis, to set up the care plan. And then also it's so easy to schedule someone's appointments. So if somebody is on wellness care and they want to come every Monday at 3 p.m., it literally takes me 10 seconds to schedule those appointments within the software. So those are just some of the things that makes it easy for us. Is there anything else that you want to add there, Dr. Kowalski?
No, I think all of these different things that we say, at one point we had to do all these manually. So I think there's more value on it when you know what it used to be like. And the whole point when they come into the office is you want to educate them on chiropractic, and you want to serve them, and you want to be relational, and you want to be able to, I was talking with the Hesses a long time ago about this, to see that many people in an office. And if you surveyed them, you said, how long does it feel like you were with the doctor? They say 10, 15 minutes usually, when the adjustment might only been a minute. And so you have to be really present and efficient. And if you're worrying about notes and who's in which room and people getting mad because they get mixed up, all those little things that, make the experience not so excellent, that's just going to impact your office and how well and efficient you can see people. And that's a big deal. All these little things add up to, like, they fix big problems that turn into big problems for sure. The one thing about the arrivals and the birthday message is awesome, and that just made me think of a couple different ideas that I could do with using the Sked stuff. But have you guys ever used like sending people a message? So we have the missed appointment text. Have you ever used sending people a message like based on arrival, like for advertising events like Dinners with the Doc or anything like that?
Yeah, so we will send out, for example, a group text and email message. Typically, you can pick with the date range. So let's say we want to pick everybody that's been in our office in the last 12 months. So for example, yesterday we sent out a message to everybody that's been in our office and is active within the past 12 months of, hey, we're open this week through Thursday, normal office hours, but it's going to be Memorial Day weekend. We're going to be closed this Saturday and Monday, and we'll reopen for normal office hours on Tuesday. Yep. And so it was to also urge people, because we do have a percentage of people that do walk in, to urge those people, hey, we got to get in today and tomorrow. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting until next Tuesday because it is a national holiday.
Yeah, and one of the things we learned from you guys is like constant education. So we're always giving handouts, testimonials, and if we're advertising a Dinner with the Doc, or we're doing a special back to school bash or cowboy carnival or whatever, and you know, we have a floater, a specific person assigned each day saying every person needs to get one of these, you know, and inevitably they miss people, and you can't get everybody. And as a doc and the owner of the office, I don't know who missed and who didn't miss. And then I'm like, well, half the people probably didn't even get invited. And how do we even know? And so we utilize Sked automated messaging for that too. So we set up an automated message where 60 minutes during those weeks, 60 minutes after they arrive in the office, they get a text or email or push notification to their phone with whatever piece of information we want to send them. So now I know 100% whatever didn't get touched in the office, if they did, they got it twice, but every single person gets that message after they leave the office. And they're just thinking about it because hopefully they were told about it in the office. And now it has a link to the event where they can click on it right on their phone, go to the event, register, sign up. I mean, it's totally changed the game for how many people we can get registered for our dinners and how fast we can get them to register, and how fast we can engage them on our events. And there's so much stuff social media now. I mean, social media is like crazy. And you tag, like you create a Facebook event or an Eventbrite event, and then you send that in that automated message. Now they can click on it, and they're all like integrated with social media sites, so they can share that event via Facebook and Instagram. And I mean, it just like grows like wildfire. And the last dinner we had, utilizing that, we had 55 people there, and we had 8 practice members. 8 practice members. So I don't know how many that is, 47 guests.
I mean, but that's the ratio you want. You want 8 practice members and what, 47 guests?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's like that's the ratio you want at a dinner.
Totally. And a lot of that was our practice members, the 8 that were there, but even more that weren't there, that couldn't come, but they were sharing it on social media, and it just goes, you know, and it reaches people that otherwise you would have never reached. And we were able to trace that back to links that they clicked, and it was just awesome managing that. So that's making it easy for people. We got about 20 minutes here, so if you have questions on any of this, make sure you get those posted. We'll save some time at the end for that. I see one question there. I can't tell who it is, but I'll answer it in just a minute. So the next one, number 4, keeping the information relevant. So where do we put special notes in our EHR system? How do we communicate with the front desk when we're adjusting? And then how do we utilize F5 box and F5 notes within Platinum specifically? We put special notes in our EHR system. Let me see if I can share this with you guys. In 2 different places. So this box that's kind of a, I don't know what color you would call that, peach maybe?
I call it peach. It's the peach box and the peach state.
That's peach. This is like if you want to call them a different name. You know, you have people that are like, their name's Eric and they go by Henry, and just stuff that how would you ever remember that? So we'll put that information in this box that isn't date specific and won't change. Or maybe you know, something specific about adjusting, like you want to do it a certain way, or you want to let other docs in your office know something forever that this person has this. We put special notes in there. This purple box is where the special health messages go, which is in the right-hand side here. So if I click special health message and I type something in here, it will date stamp that and put it in the purple box. So as docs, we use this so to let everybody know, and even yourself remember, if you told the person something this day and you want to follow up with them the next time they come in, I put it there and I look at that quick right before I adjust them, and I sparks my memory. Same thing if they're going on vacation to like somewhere cool, Hawaii, I might put going to vacation in Hawaii, and next time they come in, you can be like, hey, I hope you had a great trip, I hope you had a great vacation in Hawaii, whatever that little thing is, or their kid was graduating high school. It allows you to remember stuff and really connect with people, and it makes them really feel like you care, because you're taking the time to put it down so that you remember it and you can engage people and develop a relationship. And so that's really, really important. As you can see, I have some very important notes in there. Keeping the information relevant. Oh, so sending messages at the front desk. Up here in the top right is front desk message and special front desk message. I mostly use special front desk message, and this is things specifically, we use this the most for testimonials, so that they put them in the testimonial book. So the testimonial book is the book we have behind the front desk that we review every Monday morning in our team meeting, sharing testimonials from the week. So if I want to say, Mary has no more migraines, that'll go to the front desk as a red bar, and they can put that in the notes book. If I want to send them a message about appointments, so right here you can see when the person's next appointment is, Tuesday, May 29th. But if they don't have anything in that box, I know they don't have any other future appointments. But I really want them to make an appointment to stick with their recommendations. So this is where I would say, hey, Henry, I'm going to send a message up front to make sure we get you scheduled for next week. I want to see you once next week. Today's Tuesday, so if that works, does it work for you to come in next Tuesday? And they're like, yeah, that totally works. I'm like, all right, well, I'm sending a message at the front right now that you want to come in next Tuesday. So make sure you stop at the front and get that schedule on your way out, all right? And he goes, okay, no problem. Coming next Tuesday. So that's really valuable, because now the office knows before that person even gets up there what's happening, and they can address it and make it really quick and easy for that person. It also alleviates the ability for that person to just walk out without talking to the front desk, because you just told them that you're sending a message to the front desk and they're going to be ready for them when they get up there. 99% of people are going to stop, and that'll increase the number of people that are making appointments, which helps you keep your schedule more accurate, and it allows the automated messages to go out to that person to remind them of their appointment, helps keep them on the recommendation so that they can get better, obviously, and experience the best results. So that's a really, really important feature that we use as well. Dr. Amanda, do you use those boxes or messages to the front? Any other tips that you've been doing with that would help?
Yeah, I sure do. With the peach box, if somebody got an MRI and they brought it in, you can put it on your imaging as well from that disc. And then if they have the MRI report with them, I may put some notes in that peach box. February 5th, 2018, MRI, L4, L5, spinal stenosis, and just whatever, I need to know from the MRI as well. The other thing I like also, when you see the segments in blue there on the left, let's say somebody had a fusion at C5, then I'll put 3 X's at C5, which is going to turn that segment red, so that myself and my other associates know, hey, there's something going on there. And, the X-ray is right there as well, so that you can see the fusion happen, but you definitely want to proceed with caution, as far as it could be a contraindication to adjustment. The other thing I like also, especially with living in Atlanta, is it's typical, and this happens especially after it rains, and it actually rained really hard yesterday, so I'm expecting this to happen tomorrow, is I'm going to be about to adjust somebody, they're prone on the table, and then all of a sudden they're going to say something like, yeah, I got hit yesterday by a tractor trailer, and they just like show up in your adjustment room, didn't tell anybody. So at that point, it's going to be special front desk message, MVA room 5, with like exclamation points, and that means somebody needs to hightail it back to room 5 immediately, and we got to talk to this person and get them to fill out some documentation and paperwork and different things like that. Also, even today, you were talking about that special front desk message. My husband sent one today. It said, off blood pressure medication, no more sinus, and so it's also good, because a lot of times people don't tell that to your staff. And so to send those messages, on a regular basis to your team members, it also builds their value and confidence in chiropractic. And so that's another thing I like those special messages for.
Totally. And this is just, we're touching on like little bits and stuff that we can within an hour. But a lot of this we put into modules on the AMP program specific for procedures. I mean, there's so many procedures that we go through to do that. If I can show that quick, let me see if I can get it up there. If I went into this virtual classroom and clicked on procedure modules, my internet speed catches up. I mean, there's just endless options here for objections and billing and retention steps and reevaluations and all of these electronic little things that we use, ledgers, accounting, financial order, all of this stuff is in these broken down into like the nth degree detail with documents and everything else, so that it's just really clear, and you go back and watch anytime you want and train your team on it and take notes and do everything else, so you can just constantly be one step ahead and be doing it excellent. The last one that we utilize a lot, which we didn't do a great job of in the beginning, and now we're very anal about the F5 box, is making sure the F5 box is always accurate and everybody's doing it the same way. Mine that I'm going to show you is not organized how we organize it, because we never use my file, but I can't show you anybody else's file that's correct, because Dr. Amanda will discipline me. So if I go into this yellow box here on the left is the F5 box. It's basically all of the communication that happens with a person needs to be documented well in here. Date stamped, initialed, who it was. We keep track of all those notes in there. And you can see the top 3 lines in here. So the top 3 lines, we typically have the date, what care plan they're on, how much they're paying every month, when their payment is, who else is in their family, any other information that you really need. What is their insurance benefits? When was it checked? Any changes in their insurance benefits? All the stuff that you want to see really quickly. Like if somebody calls, you pull up their file, this is what you're going to read. So what information do you need to know really quickly? And if I would suggest, if you don't have this in your office, come up with exactly what it's supposed to be, a template, so that any team member could take that template and fill it in for any person, and they all look the same, and you can keep them really organized. And then we just keep bumping it down the list, so people that, if they call and you talk to them on the phone, you put it in there, Eric called today and said this, this, and this, and you date stamp it, so that at any time, any team member, part-time, full-time, whatever, can go in there and they know exactly what's happening to this person, who talked to them, what the scenario was, and it just helps immensely doing it that way. Dr. Amanda, any input on that 5?
Yeah, we use it all the time. The main thing we use it for in the beginning of someone's care is we put their care plan in there, how many times per week they're supposed to come. And then once they go over their care plan with us and they say, well, I want to come on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday at 11:30, we're going to write that, we're going to type that into the F5 as well. That way also, if later on down the road we need to add appointments, or for some reason some appointments got deleted, or let's say this person missed some appointments, they had a death in the family and they missed a couple of weeks, then we can reschedule those appointments very easily, because we know what time and days they like to come in.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we have about 10 minutes left. Let's see if we can knock through this last one in 5 minutes, and we'll have a few minutes to answer questions. This is number 5, doing it the right way. So number 1 was how AMP utilizes Platinum to save time. Number 2 was utilizing Platinum with other technologies, integrating third-party vendors. 3 was making it easy for people. We went over the calling module and how we use all of that. Number 4 was keeping the information relevant, special notes in the EHR, messaging the front desk, and so forth. Number 5 is doing it the right way. How do we keep ledgers up to date? What's important in demographic boxes? Utilizing referral sources, the different specific stuff we do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis to monitor the practice and make sure it's going the right direction. Why don't you give an overview on that, Dr. Amanda?
Sure. So when somebody comes in as a new practice member and we build their demographic information, I mean, one of the things that we put in there, for example, is spouse, the spouse's name. And so we'll put spouse, Shannon, which would be Dr. Kowalski's spouse. Her name is Shannon. And so that way, after that first appointment, when we call Dr. Kowalski and say, hey, thanks so much for coming into the office today, trusting us with your health. We're looking forward to serving you. Your next appointment's going to be for your doctor's report Tuesday night at 7 p.m. where we're going to go over all your findings, recommendations, your diagnostics, start your care plan. You know, if, for example, Shannon answers the phone and Dr. Eric is not there, we're going to know her name when she answers the phone. And so we always like to put the spouse's name and the demographic information so that we know who that is and we can call them by their name, because people like that as well. The other thing that's essential, which people disregard this a lot, data entry can become messy. You know, if somebody types in the wrong phone number or the wrong email address, then they're not going to be getting their text messages or their emails appropriately, which is also essential when you think of things like payments. So if you're running recurring payments, let's say their payment declined because they got a new credit card. Like, for example, today I just got a new Chase debit card because my current Chase debit card is now expired. So let's say I never told you that, so my payment declined, then I'm going to automatically get an email from the Fortis processor saying, hey, your payment declined, and they can then pay through the portal, and you can also at that point, you know, flag their account. But if you entered in their email address wrong, they're not going to get that notification. The other things that we like to know is, you know, whether they're single or married or widowed, because you definitely don't want to say something like, hey, I'm so glad you came. We're looking forward to going over your findings, Dr. Kowalski, and you know, bring your wife with you so that she can see what's going on with you as well. And let's say his wife is dead. I mean, you know, he's widowed, so you would want to know that as well. So instead of saying bring your spouse with you, let's say Dr. Kowalski is 84 years old. A lot of those people, you know, their son or daughter is in charge of their finances or their health care. So at that point, you would say something like, do you know, can a family member come with you to see your findings with you, or a good friend of yours, just so you can have a second set of ears, because it is going to be a lot of information that we go over with you. And so those are important things to put in the demographic information. The other thing I always harp on is referral source. You got to know where people are coming from so that you can track what's going right, what events are working, what marketing's not working, and where you need to shift. So for example, if you know that you're spending, let's say, $1,000 per month in Facebook marketing, and you run a query and a report for the past 60 days of everybody that came in Facebook, and you can see how many came in, how many took Xrays, how many started care, that's going to give you an indication of whether or not that money was well spent and if that's something that you need to continue to do. For example, so the referral box here, unfortunately, is blank on this screen, but you know, you could also put in there, let's say he got referred in by his wife. So it would say Shannon Kowalski there. So we would want to know also, to have a healthy practice, in my opinion, probably at least 50% of your new practice members should be from referral based. If you are doing it correctly as well, which is some of the things that we teach within the AMPed classroom, is how to get the spouse, how to get guests to your doctor's report. So for example, even Tuesday night, we had a mother of a teenager there, and she was there to see her teenager's X-rays who had scoliosis, but after coming in and listening to what chiropractic does, she decided to get her own evaluation herself, get X-rays taken, and get started under care. So that's essential too. If you don't have a good ratio of guests at your doctor's report, you need to look at what you're saying and how people are following through. The thing that irks me the most is when, and we've all been in this situation where somebody says, I got to take this home and talk to my spouse. And sometimes that goes well, and sometimes you're never going to see that person again. But if you had asked on the front end, is your spouse coming with you? They say no. They tell you why they're not coming. Well, do you make your own financial decisions? And they say, yes, I do, then that's fine. If they say, no, my spouse and I make all of our financial decisions together, well, then we need to schedule for when your spouse can come with you. And so those are important things to look at within the referral source as well. You want to see what marketing efforts are working. So do you run queries on referrals, Dr. Kowalski, and then change your strategies probably from year to year? I know we do.
We do, yeah, yeah. And I think it's great even to know who's referring who and how many people they've referred. You can run all those reports and then send them something, send them a thank you. And there's all kinds of stuff that we do that way just to encourage referrals for sure.
Yeah, and especially if you know someone sent in 3 people this month, you definitely want to send them a thank you card by mail, maybe even possibly call them. Within that thank you card, I always stuff in more referral cards in there for them to pass out to their more friends and family, because that person already sent 3 people in. That means they're not afraid to tell people about your clinic and about how chiropractic can change their life. So that's some of the demographic information that I think is important. Also, you need to, number one, train your team on how to properly even schedule somebody into the system. And I think a lot of people don't think much about phone etiquette these days, but I would just impress upon you to call other medical offices, call the chiropractor down the street from you, and just see how these team members answer the phone. And you'd probably be shocked at some of the answers you get, just some of the lack of training there. And once you do a proper training with your team member of how to answer the phone, how to answer questions, how to answer objections, how to get the person scheduled, and then they actually make these phone calls to other offices, it really empowers your team member to know that you have taught them how to properly answer the phone. And it really gives them a sense of confidence and encouragement. And you can see here, Dr. Kowalski's pulled up the AMPed virtual classroom that we have a phone etiquette module, and we have different calls. These are some of the prank calls I did a couple of years ago that you can see. And I mean, it was just really shocking at how easy it was for me to call different offices and just get bizarre answers and just people that had no idea what they were talking about. I even had one girl on one of these phone calls say, "Oh, you need to go to the hospital for your migraine. We can't help you."
I remember that.
I was just like, I can't believe I'm videoing this right now. And this was just so easy to just showcase how important the phone is. So if you haven't been training your team on phones, that's something that you definitely want to consider implementing into your office as well. The other thing I do is I am a stickler to run all sorts of reports. I run a daily income report, a transaction with payment report. I run a report of everybody that came in that day. I also run a report of missed appointments. When you run the missed appointment report, it shows you, did your team member have to call them and leave a message? Did they reschedule through the Sched app? Did they cancel the appointment? What was happening? And I love that report as well, because let's say somebody canceled their appointment and said they're not coming back or whatever. Then at that point, you as a doctor can call that person, find out what the real objection is, and attempt that save quickly. Because if you don't know that that day, if you get around to calling that person 2 weeks later, you've really lost I'd say the immediate attention that person needed at that point as well. I also want to always tell people to track your growth. And tracking growth is not only growth via revenue. So I'm sure everyone here runs monthly reports within the Platinum software to see what your monthly revenue is, but also just how many people you're serving. Because, a legacy to me is how many lives are you affecting each and every day, week after week, year after year. And so we want to monitor that growth as well. So I'm all about just finding different reports. Even the other day, I ran a query of people that had been in my office for 200 visits or more, because we're thinking about doing kind of a VIP dinner of some of our long-term people that have been with us forever, and doing invitation only to some of those folks that are still with us after that long a period of time. And so those are all the different queries that you can do just to say, hey, thanks, we appreciate you. And you know what, if they've been in your office for 200 visits, that probably means they're probably gonna be with you for a lifetime. I mean, unless they move out of the area. And then at that point, unfortunately, many times it's difficult to find a good chiropractor for that person. us, and you always hate to see those people leave. But anyways, the other thing I love is the recall list, and I use the recall list day in and day out, just to see why a person doesn't have another appointment, or to follow up with people. Maybe they have a balance, maybe they had to cancel other appointments for this last month because they have a sick family member in California, and so they're going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. So I always like to have that recall list constantly going. Let's say someone missed their consultation and they were a referral from somebody. I mean, you want to call them as soon as possible to try to get them in. And usually there's a good reason they missed. And the sooner you get a hold of these people, the sooner they'll come in. I guess, what else do you use, Eric, to just kind of make sure things are going the right way, and checks and balances? I know with my team, one of the things that they watched that we did on the AMP classroom was the billing department, just to see all the details within the ledgers, because really it takes a new employee, they don't understand that immediately. It takes time for that type of knowledge to look at a ledger and see why someone may have a balance, or someone has a credit, or
Totally.
you know, we need to go back and see why this insurance claim wasn't paid, just things of that nature.
Yeah, there's so many details there. I think from a big perspective, payment plan, when you put a transaction in ours, payment plan is a payment that's going towards a care plan. Payment is a payment that's for X-rays or a one-time thing that they're not on a plan, whether it's the evaluation or they're coming in paying for a visit or something. So if I know payment plan is going up every month on a total, that means we're growing in people that are committing to long-term care. And that's a really good thing. So I also know if payment is going up, then we're seeing more new people, and we're doing better at closing on X-rays and all of that stuff. So I use some of those transaction stats just to make sure we're heading in the right direction. Sometimes offices rely only on how many visits they see every week, you know, and you can go fluctuate, you know, a lot. If it's 10% fluctuation week to week, and you're at 100, you might be at 90 or 110. But if you're at 1,000, that's a lot. It's like 900 versus 1,100. I mean, it's significant, you know, but it's the same percentage. And so a lot of times using some other stats instead of just that, like, okay, well, our payment plan's going up, the number of people that are actually committed to care going up, like, as long as that stuff's going the right direction, then you know you're improving. Maybe it was spring break, or, you know, who knows what, people are out of town or whatever. And so deciphering whether it's an important thing or just a season that the office and the community is going through is another. So I wanted to answer one of these questions here, and then we'll wrap this up for you guys. Dr. Baker, this is a great question. You mentioned having D appointments being called to specific rooms. Is there a way to have the calling module call practice members who do not yet have a member card assigned? I don't think you can arrive them to the Z list or the queue without a barcode assigned to them. So in our office, we just use the file number, and we put the file number. File number is automatically generated every time, and it's a new one for every file that's created, so you know you're not going to reproduce the same number. So if we don't have an actual plastic card for them yet, we'll just take the file number, put it in the barcode number, then they can get arrived. Once they're arrived, we can get them called to rooms, and then it works for us. And if they end up committing to care and they stick with it, and they use their Sched app for their barcode, Sched will automatically find that number in their barcode, and it'll just make a barcode for that number, so then you don't even have to change it, and then they can just automatically sign in with their phone, and you only need to get them a plastic card. And so that whole process just makes it really easy. Anything else you have on that, Dr. Amanda? Did I answer that correctly?
Yeah, no, that was right. That was right.
Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate you guys all being on this. We love, you know, just
Thank you.
Platinum has given us. Hey, Peter.
Thank you very much. And the recording is available, and we'll send it to every one of you and people that did not attend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.